Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. How are you doing? I am quite well. I am filming this early morning, the same day you're seeing it, because it has been graduation weekend here in Oregon, and the neighborhood has been lively. They're all partying for you guys. Good job, graduates. There was no peace, so I am filming early morning to avoid blaring music going boom, 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 boom in the background of this video. But hello, today we were going over my May reads. Everything that I read 15 books, which feels pretty good. June? Guys, June's popping off. It's kind of crazy. I don't know how this has happened. I feel like my reading self is back. So watch out, everybody. It's happening. Anyway, May, a normal good amount. I can handle 15 to talk about right now. So the first book that I read was The Fade, volume or issue 1 by Abria Iyengar, who's an incredible storyteller and player slash creator of Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, and so therefore I adore her. So when I saw that she had like a web series, I wanted to check it out. My library got a copy of The Fade, which is the first one. I liked it overall, but I have a couple complaints and issues with it, mostly just that it's not long enough, because obviously it's meant to be a series, there's supposed to be more, but the way that it ended, I feel like this volume needs more page time, because we're following like the same timeline but two different dimensions, if you will. I don't really know how they intersect with each other. I don't know what the connection is yet. So I feel like I'm just lacking some context. But I did overall like the characters, the stylation. Is stylation a word? I don't think so. The style of the art. It is early morning. I have no caffeine, so here we are. So overall, I did like it. I would like to find the rest of the web series so that I can actually like properly continue and just kind of binge. It's not on Webtoons, so I kind of have to do some digging around for it, but not opposed to that. I just need to find it, but I, want to support my girl. The next two books I read were from the same author. I did a reread of We Used to Live Here. This was a reread heavy month. Still a solid 4.5 stars depending on my day in the mood. I still really enjoy it. We Used to Live Here is like a liminal spaces. Would you consider this a haunted house story? I guess. It's wacky. It's so weird. I definitely recommend it to those who enjoy like creepypastas, going down like a Reddit rabbit hole. Like if you read Bunny and then said, what the heck just happened? And then like turned to the internet to find theories that people might have had, this one's for you. I very much enjoyed it, but I was rereading it to gear up for the next book, The Caretaker. Set in the same world and universe, not necessarily sure if it's on the same exact timeline or if it's a couple years before or after. I don't really know that part a whole lot, but I do know that it's set in the same world, but it does not have direct ties. There might be some Easter eggs in here. If you're curious about anything related to Marcus Kluwer and his works, I believe Kim's videos down in the description where she goes through different theories, she breaks down the plot, she tells you all the juicy stuff. Basically, Marcus has a website that people are able to like solve clues on, and it gives you more insight to the world and what's going on. So if you want more information about that, check Kim out, because she's done a lot of deep dives that are fantastic. But as a reading experience as a whole, I don't think enough people are giving this book credit where credit should be due. I can't speak on the OCD representation in this. I don't think it's necessarily the character herself with OCD representation, but like the house and the structure of the book and how it makes you feel that same compulsive feeling, which is just anxiety inducing. I also appreciated the representation for depression in this book, but I also just like the premise. I do think it's lacking in some areas, and I didn't fully love it. I would say overall it's like a 3.5 star rather than a 4 like We Used to Live Here. But just due to comparison, I can't rate it as high, but not because it's a bad book. But it is a little bit repetitive. I would say that it can feel a little long at times, but I think that it's such an interesting premise. Like, you get hired as a caretaker with weird, crazy rules. You have to watch a video of this old man being like, you have to make sure that you get rid of the visitors, but there's all these, like, strings attached to everything. I would never take the job to start with. Like, $9,000 is getting closer to what I would, depending on my level of desperation. $9,000 is a lot of money for a weekend or whatever caretaking. I would not fully be opposed. But once I see the rules list, I'd be like, I don't know about that. Like, having to make sure all the lights are off within like a certain time span, or all of them are on within a certain... I think I'm too scared of the dark for that, but I do really appreciate what this book did, and I think overall it did what Marcus set out to do, and I think he hit the objective, and for that I think it is a good book. But enjoyment wise, there was a few things that I was just like, I wish that it was like a little bit better paced. I did really like the ending. I just think that it's also a sad book, so like if you're in a questionable mind space, maybe not the moment for this. I've kind of been on quite the horror kick this month, or I guess in May. I would say that it's still continued into June, but June's been a little bit more all over, which is nice. But continuing on, I listened to the audiobook for The House of Quiet by Kiersten White. I adore Kiersten White. We will talk about her again in the future here soon. I really enjoy her work. This one is my least favorite of all of them, and I will proud stan of Hyde, Mr. Magic, recommend to everybody. What's the other one? Lucy Undying. I enjoy her work. I'm a big fan. I know a lot of people aren't, but I do think she's making more horror novels that are a little bit more palatable. This one is young adult, and it's weird, and all of the characters have the names of like animals or nature things, and I had a hard time following this story. The premise is, what if kids got sent to this house to get a procedure so that they don't have magical abilities? The magical abilities were cool. There's also like romance in this. We're following two different perspectives. One who's trying to find her sister, the other also trying to find a sister. There's like a spy. Like there's so much going on. There's so much going on, and I really didn't follow all of it. And unfortunately, this one just like didn't hit for me like the other ones, but also I think maybe because it's young adult, it just didn't, which I like young adult, so don't get me wrong. I don't know. I can't put my finger on why this one didn't work the same way. It wasn't bad. I would say that it's like a 2.5, 3 star. I would not recommend it to somebody who's interested, but something about it did not work. Something about it was not right. And then we continued with more horror. I continued in a series. I'm staying really on top of Ugetsu, because I'm really enjoying the Strange Blank series that they're doing. This is Strange Houses, Strange Pictures, and then Strange Buildings, which I read. I had the audiobook ARC from Libro FM as an ALC from when it came out, and so I was just waiting to get the ebook from Libby so that I could tandem read them. I think the first 2 books are on Kindle Unlimited if you're interested. Highly, highly, highly recommend reading along if you're gonna listen to the audiobook. I think the audiobook is good, but this is definitely like a visual book because of the drawings or house plans that you kind of want to follow along and see what's being said. But I think it's fun. I think it's fun to be like, look at this crazy house. Look at how these stories connect. Sometimes they're a little bit wacky, a little bit out there, a little outlandish, I suppose you could say, that like you really have to just suspend your disbelief and be like, sure, yeah, these leaps, sure. So that happens a few times, but overall, I do really like the series. I will continue reading whatever they come out with next. And it's just a very fascinating little world. And then I've done a reread of the Fallen series. So if you're interested, you have to watch the video for the thoughts. But it was a nostalgic good time, and I do recommend the video. It was fun to read the entire series front to back for the first time ever. Well, not the first time. I reread the first 3 books. And then I got my little romance on, and I listened to And Now Back to You. And I'm going to be so honest, every time I think of the title, And Now Back to You, I think of WNWY, with What's News with You, which is a podcast hosted by Ashley Gavin and Josh Johnson, 2 comedians in New York. Funny time. I have a great time. But now, like, those 2 phrases are, like, synonymous in my mind. I can't not think of them, which is interesting because they have nothing to do with each other whatsoever. This is the second book in B.K. Borison's News People Heartstrings? Is that what it's called series? First one was First Time Caller, which was like a Baltimore late night romance hotline. And then this one is following the weathermen of 2 competing radio and televised news stations. And they have to go to a mountain. They have to go to the snow, where the snowstorm is like about to get really, really bad. Put themselves in slight danger. Forced proximity in the winter cold? No. I think it's a perfect winter book. And then we get back and like there's a bunch of like hijinks and sabotage and whatever. I think that it's a solid romance. I appreciate that the misunderstandings were communicated enough early on. I wish that it continued throughout the book. I feel like our characters were very open and honest with each other until certain things happened, and then they said, I can't say it to them. And I was like, why? We've been able to communicate all these other issues, no problem, but these certain ones, and I understand that humans are fallible, but like they're also book characters. So there was times where I was like, we communicate well until it's convenient. That was a little bit annoying, but I also like the outside forces that were trying to like tear them apart and like ruin their lives. I do feel that they had a lot of other situations going on. I do wish we saw a little bit more of Lucy and Aiden, just because I adore them and I think that they're fun, and Aiden just felt like a different character. I understand that he's in love, but that wasn't super satisfying, but I did overall like these two together. I really, really, really liked our weatherman, whose name is escaping me. I did not super love our leading lady. She was a little bit too quirky, a little bit too clumsy, a little bit too caricature, and a little annoying, but not in like a negative way, just like not a character that I would want to revisit in the future type of thing. So overall, I did enjoy it. Not as much as First Time Caller though, and I saw that the third book will be coming out in 2027, so I will probably be picking that up. Next book, my 1 5-star of the month. Yes, I've had a 5-star. And it was Crown Tide. Oh my god, you guys. This book has me in a chokehold. This is the second time? This is the second book hangover that I've gotten for the entire year. This is my second, like, fullest of 5 stars of a feeling. Guys. Oh my god. This one's crazy. This is the 4th book in the Lightlark series out of 5 books. Waiting for news for book 5, the final book. Please, Alex, for me, I can't survive after the wait has ended. This is definitely not going to be the book for a specific fandom of the girls, and also for people who don't like Lightlark. Obviously, you wouldn't continue until book 4. That would be kind of crazy of you, unless you really are a masochist and just like don't want to read good books for yourself, which is fine if like it's for content or whatever, but like for pure enjoyment, if you don't like the series, don't continue, because this one is similar to the rest of the series. There's a lot of repetition. They don't necessarily have to be this long. We're repeating things, and if you have bad memory, it's fantastic, but if you remember everything like I do, because you've done a full recap of the entire series and it's like been a part of your channel, you remember. You don't need all of the recaps, but it is handy sometimes, like if you are reading these years apart, it's kind of nice to be like, oh yeah. But also, on top of like the repetition part, there's a little bit of retconning going on every once in a while, but like I don't care. I don't mind. The way that this played out was beautiful, painful. The ending, I don't know how many times when reading a book I have been so shocked, just jaw on the floor so many times over and over again, never knowing what's going to happen next. This was a fantastic reading experience. I loved every second of this. This is definitely the best book that I read for the month of May. Since I'm already talking about it, let's talk about some of my stats, because I totally forgot earlier. I had an average rating of 3.83, the best I've had this year. It's incredible. I did not really have a lot of like 2 stars or anything. I feel like my 4 and 3s weighed each other out, plus my beautiful 5 definitely helped. I read 15 books in total, like I mentioned. I read 2,427 pages. I listened to audiobooks for almost 51 hours. I read 5 books off my own shelf. I continued a couple series, nothing crazy with the stats. I DNF'd 2 books, which is crazy. One of them is soft DNF because I did purchase the audiobook on Audible, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna probably will finish it eventually, but it's gonna be one of those audiobooks that I pick up at the office when I'm not like, when I don't care if I'm fully invested in listening. Like, it's gonna be like a half listen, half-hearted attempt, just because I'm not loving it, but I paid for it, so that will determine your reading sometimes. Like I said, this is the first time that I've had a lot of rereads, read some debuts, new releases, nothing crazy. Like, honestly, the stats are pretty on par with what I would want them to be and how they usually are. So we continue on to the last 5 books that I read. Next was Rescued by the Alien Bull Rider, which is book 6 in the Ursa Dax Mail Order Bride, Colony Bride series that I've been reading this year especially, and it's been a blast. This one's my least favorite. This one's like a 3.5, mostly because it's like about a pregnant woman and figuring out like how motherhood or parenting, co-parenting is going to work with this alien species. There was like a full 2-chapter C-section scene that like I just personally don't need to be there for. There's also like some like sexual like milker scenes. Like, I just don't need to be here for most of this. Like, it was not for me. I think if you enjoy, like the single parent tropes, or if you really like men who are good with kids or care about kids, a doctor. I think a lot of these things can work for people. It's just not going to be for me. And what this book is setting up for the rest of the series concerns me. I don't need more in between novella books or something where we're popping out a bunch of alien babies. I don't want it. I don't need it. Ursa Dax, if you hear me, I don't need it. I don't want it. Please. It's not for me. But I still recommend the series as a whole. I think that this book will work for a lot of people. I do think it's pretty highly rated. I'm just not the girl. I'm not the target audience for this one. The last book, Following Oaken, that was my book. This one wasn't for me, and that's okay. And I've continued on in my Alice in Borderland journey, finally. I feel like it's been a while. I think I usually end up picking them up every May because Escape the Readathon is happening, and Lexi is the person who introduced me to the series. So it's kind of just like me celebrating a little bit further, but I read volume 6. It was crazy. I'm really enjoying the direction the series is going. I don't want, if I can help it, I would like to finish the series this year, I think. I don't want to keep putting them off because I remember enough and they do a good enough job of like the flashbacks and reminding you what happened in previous volumes, knowing that time has gone by since you read them. But I kind of just want to like bang them out and just like finish the series strong. In June, it has been the graphic novel month for me. I'm having a fun time with my cute little picture books right now, thriving. So it would make sense to just like finish this manga series. I like it. It's good. If you're curious, this is like, how do you even explain the series from the beginning? Basically, a bunch of people are being zapped out of Tokyo or different areas of Japan, I think primarily Tokyo though, and end up in this alternate dimension of Japan where you need to play games to survive. And you're collecting face cards, like normal playing cards, which is like your difficulty and challenge level, and you're just fighting to survive. And honestly, what would be my worst nightmare? I would not survive. I would not make it. But it's very fun. There's so many characters that you meet of all different walks of life, so you get a lot of background perspectives, but you also get to see a lot of the games. We are following one character primarily in his experience, but every once in a while, like, we leave from him to go see what's happening with the games, and I really like that. I know that's not everyone's favorite thing, but I really enjoyed the 6th volume. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite. I would say that 5 and 4, maybe 3, are like, those are probably my top 3 right now. But the first one is good, but they just get better. So I'm having a good time. I think I'm gonna try to continue the series. We're gonna see. We're back to Kirsten White. Like I mentioned, this was the 3rd best book that I read for the month. The Fox and the Devil is a lot more aligned to Lucy Undying than it is, say, Hyde or Mr. Magic. Like, you can definitely, like, put her books into different categories. And this is definitely the category of the girlies who want some romance and a little bit more historical lit fic feels, not so much the like gory chase scenes. This is like a game of cat and mouse between vampire and vampire hunter who need to work together, maybe in hopes of defeating a big bad. I enjoyed this one, obviously. Like, it's one of the best books. It's in my top 3 of the month. So I definitely enjoyed it. I appreciate what it did. I liked the prose. There were a few quotes that I was like, oh, okay. I had a good time. This was my book of choice when I was walking at Severo, and so it was just like a solid experience. I like the characters enough. I was engaged in the mystery. It wasn't my favorite book of hers either, though. I would definitely recommend this over Lucy Undying. So if you liked Lucy Undying, definitely check this one out. And then I read Dark Corners by Megan Golden. Dark Corners is the sequel to The Night Swim. This is in the Rachel Crawl series. I think it's just a duology. I don't think we've gotten word of a 3rd book. It might be one of those series that Megan Golden kind of revisits at random when a mystery calls to them. How to explain this one? I recommend it. If you liked The Night Swim, very big tonal shift. It does not follow, it still has the podcast structure, but the mystery is very different. It's about a missing girl and a serial killer, and it's cool because you get the like killer's perspective and you get to see what they're going through, but not in like a overly sympathized kind of way, but just insight, if you will. The mystery part was kind of meh to me. There's like 2 angles of it. Like, one, she's working with an FBI detective federal agent who has a bit of a love attraction going on. And then there is the angle of she is a podcaster and she needs to get in to this like sponsored vacation in Miami. so that she can talk to influencers because the girl who's gone missing is an influencer. And that angle of the influencer life, like, I understand I'm a micro influencer at best, if we could even call me that. So obviously I'm not in like the rich, like Jake Paul status of like big time people who probably do act this way. But it feels like a tired and exhausted conversation. But I'm also coming from it from 2026, whereas this book came out in 2023. So it's not fair for me to judge it that harshly on that critique, because like in 2023, less books were talking about it. I'm hesitant to pick up books about social media influencers just because I don't know if there's a lot more to really say on the discussion. Like, obviously we know what the problems are, but we're not going to do anything to change it. Like, it's just, it is what it is. And so I don't feel that a lot of the conversations are really beneficial or adding something new that I care about. And it's just like kind of part of my job. And so like I don't want to really read more about it. So that was like the only thing that I was towards, but everything else was fine. Again, not quite as a compelling mystery as the first book though. The first one really like gagged me. And then the final book that I listened to was The Devil Makes Three. This is the same author who wrote the Knight's book that everybody likes. I can't think of it, but it's on the screen because Editing Sam knows. This is the same author though, and I didn't love the Knight book that much, and it's one of those things that I feel like I might revisit when the series is finished, but the more time that I sit with it and the further apart I get from it, I'm like, I just don't know if I care. The Devil Makes Three is a standalone dark academia young adult about two teens who have to team up together and defeat the devil. I did overall enjoy my time with it. Again, it wasn't like a loved book. It wasn't a book that I'm going to think about often. I did like how library focused it was. We spent a lot of time there checking out secret books. We have one student who's like studying the occult and the other who's on like a scholarship level. And it's just like trying to survive and get by and like take care of her sister, and it's like not really into it, but somehow gets roped in because she's seeing things, and that's scary. I thought that the ending was really interesting and liked that direction. I do think that this felt a little bit long. The middle chunk, I was just like, can we like do something? Move the plot along, get somewhere else, because like I got it, but I'm over it, you know? So that was like my only big critique for it, is just sometimes books are feeling a little long, and that could very well be a me problem and just like my attention span. I find that when listening to audiobooks, I really need my hands to be busy or I struggle to pay attention, but at the same time I can't be so busy that I'm also not paying attention. Like, there's a very fine line that I'm trying to learn how to walk. There's been days at the office where I'm very bored and audiobooks cannot do it for me. I can't just like sit there and listen to stuff while doing like very minor admin tasks. But at the same time, when I'm like dive deep into a bookkeeping project, it's also very hard for me to fully listen to an audiobook. So I'm figuring that out, which is probably why my reading has slowed down so much this year, is just because my attention span is not the same. And I'm not even on TikTok and Instagram. Doesn't even make sense why my brain is shot, but that's okay. That's fine. With that said, that little mini rant over, that's everything that I read in the month of May. Not too bad, honestly. I feel like this was a pretty good reading month. Like, obviously 3.83, but June is shaping up to be an even better month, which isn't fantastic for me. I'm really happy about that. I am just so excited about reading. I have started a little side journal, mostly because the hardest reading challenge I'll ever do came out, and I'm tracking that a little bit in here. I will be posting a video on that very soon. So I'm just feeling very rejuvenated and excited about like my reads, what I'm picking up. I've been reading a lot of backlist titles, but also a lot of new releases that I'm just so excited for, that it's just giving me life right now. I'm having a really good time. I hope that you are also having a really good time and that your reading months are going well. Now it's the summer, we can all read outside and have a good old time, and I'm just living for that, let me just tell you. So anyways, I need to go, or I'm going to keep rambling about literally nothing. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for making it to the end, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Bye!